As you heard, my name is Alexander. I'm a business coach, but I'm trying on the title of Whole Life Advisor. I'll tell you why. I try and talk to people about their businesses. All right, cool. It's like, let's make some money. Let's grow this thing. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool, great. I got this business plan. I'm ready. My wife wants to, call it quits on the marriage. Oh, okay, screw the business plan. Let's talk about that. All right, yeah, let's next client is, expand your marketing, Yeah, I have this pain in my back and I can't even sit in my chair. So I'm sitting with these clients. I mean, God, I have these ideas. I got these plans of, they could run ads, they can do this. I don't know how to solve this. I'm not a health practitioner for the back issue. We do have a couple amazing ones in here. My friend Jason is here. Hit him up. I'm not a marriage counselor. That's not my expertise. I've been talking to entrepreneurs and writing business plans for 10 or 15 years. And yet I find myself in front of these people, and they're seemingly at this brick wall, and they're saying, hey, can you help me? Well, this isn't great marketing for my business, but in most cases, I feel like I don't know anything about this. However, I know someone who does. And in fact, he knows everything, and I've got a lot of faith that he can show up here. And so that's mostly what I do with my clients. I show up and I invite God into the situation. I help them build every part of their life with God as a collaborative effort. And I'm going to go on a limb and say that that's what's happening here tonight through the series of speakers and been bringing up some ideas and some topics, some things that allowed me to remove a couple points from my talk. But what we hear here is that you're made for something more, whether you're bringing chaos to order, or whether you're getting really clear on your vision and your values, or whether you're stepping aside from the regular business methodologies like Jeremy and pursuing something greater. That's clearly the theme here tonight. Hands up if you can see that. Because God is always speaking to us. There are patterns if you know how to look. So, by now it's clear, hey, you thought maybe you're here to make more money. Get a cool Lamborghini like Jeremy, maybe. Become a 7-figure entrepreneur. I'm sorry, but if you walked in the door with that idea, by now, maybe that's fizzled to the back. And you say, okay, well, why the heck am I actually here? It's beautiful Okanagan in the summer, Friday evening. Why the heck am I here? Well, I suspect that there is a part of you that is searching, and that is hungry, and it's searching for something. And maybe up until this point, you haven't been able to put a name to it or a word to it, but you try this, you try that, you start this business, you date this person, and nothing fills that hole. Well, this is because, we think at first, hey, maybe, the car is going to make me happy, the 7-figure business is going to make me happy, but really what we're all looking for, all humans want, is to be seen and to be known. Seen and known for the truest, most authentic version of you, underneath everything else, when it's all stripped away. This is what you're craving. The deepest part of you is looking to understand this, to know it, and to embody it, to actually bring it to life in your day-to-day existence. So we're talking about the literal reason that you were made, that you were born. This is not a general concept or collective idea like, hey, what's the meaning of life? No, there is an individual urge, a longing and a hunger to understand you, not the person beside you, not all the different guys in your age group that are wake surfing, not what your dad says or what your grandmother says, but you and you and you. Each and every one of you was made on purpose by someone. That's God, the creator of all things. One of my favorite pieces of scripture, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. So what this means is that he made you specifically, uniquely, to accomplish good things in your life. This isn't IKEA. God's not IKEA, pumping out thousands of replicas. He's a craftsman. Each of his works are magnificent and unique. There's no one like you. You have a combination of gifts and tendencies that you can't find anywhere else. And you've been placed into certain situations, and you've gone through certain hardships and environments that have shaped the story of your life. And it's been revealing the purpose of your entire existence. Your past, your present, your future, designed on purpose. So here's the exciting part. When you discover this thing, because I've seen some people discover it, I've touched it a bit myself. When you discover it, and you start to live it, and you start to integrate it into your business, into your life, you experience vitality, peace, love, joy, understanding. I'm going to go on a limb and highlight our past speaker, Lucas. When he was up here, I just saw something in him. And if you didn't know that he was a man of faith and you met him at the grocery store, you would feel something. There's something exuding from him that you just want to be around him, and you feel like you can trust him. That's because there's a part of him, that deep hunger, that he has finally satiated. There's a thirst that he's quenched. So we can remember the story of the woman at the well. If we're talking about a thirst being quenched, she came up to the well thinking, my life sucks and it's horrible. And God and Jesus looked at her and said, no, this is who you really are. Here's your purpose. Get after it. And so this is what living by God's design feels like, which I think is a broad term. We can use the word fulfillment, which is to be filled of the Spirit in what you're doing in everyday life. So that's what everyone's looking for, but here's the problem. Most people have aligned themselves to another design, right? So too many people, and I'll take a little jab, too many people are trying to make themselves into the next Dan Martell. He's awesome. He's fantastic. But most people are trying to look at his design and become him, because you're not meant to become Dan. I mean, unless your name's Dan and you're a different Dan. But in fact, if you try and become Dan, there's something on this other side of you for that, which is your life never quite feeling right, never quite clicking together. And then it's like most people and most entrepreneurs, life's an uphill battle. We got to fight and push our way through it. We got to hustle, get it done. No one's coming to save you, so you better save yourself. Wrong. That is a lie. But it is the truth that people experience when you try and take a round peg and put it into a square hole. You burn out eventually because it doesn't work. And then you're left with regrets. You're on your deathbed. Maybe I should have done things differently. Maybe I should have spent more time doing things that I love. So here's the good news. Ever since I was 17, God's been putting this on my heart. Why am I here? What am I meant to do? How do I become successful? How do I overcome my blocks and my hurdles? And is it okay that I want a Porsche 911 Turbo? Is that all right? Because the regular design of life made no sense to me. The design of the world was flawed because it told me to live in a certain way until I was 80 or 90 years old, and I'd get everything that I would want, and it would be amazing. But my mother passed away when I was 9 years old, and I was faced firsthand with the fact that she would never enjoy her retirement fund in this world, as I know it anyways. So, I was really blessed too, because I met a lot of people that had all the possessions, all the things that they wanted, but most of them were not happy. So I didn't want that, so I started to follow my heart, whatever that meant at the time in my early 20s. And I started to talk to God, even though I didn't say it at that time that way. I'd meditate and I'd kind of tune in. I was like, what's my heart whispering to me? So in the next 15 minutes or so here, I'm going to share with you the map that God's been giving to me. that's been putting on my heart that's helped other people align to their own unique design. So I have a promise for you that by the time you leave here tonight, you will have a deeper understanding of who you are and how you can bring that purpose to life through your business, through your career, through your projects. I pray and desire for all of you that you have more alignment, more fulfillment, which means you walk around more filled with the Spirit. So who's interested in that? So we're going to run through that really quickly. Okay, so I'm glad Jeremy brought the elephant in the room of talking to God, because we're going to do that a little bit if you're okay with that. But I'm going to start us off. Don't worry, you don't have to do anything. You're just going to shut your eyes. Everyone, shut your eyes. Close your eyes for a moment. Tilt your head slightly upward. Don't overthink this. Just allow some images to appear in your mind. Relax your body. Couple deep breaths. Couple more. Relax. You got nowhere to go. Relax your whole body. Close your eyes. Big breath in. Wiggle your shoulders a little bit. God, I'm asking you to come into this moment right now. And each of you out there, I want you to imagine in the sky above us the kingdom of heaven. You can't picture it wrong. God's guiding your imagination here. Look and see it. It is the most beautiful scene that you could ever lay eyes on. It's radiant, so awe-inspiring that it seems to make the air all around it vibrate. Powerful, golden, alive, bright, true, glowing. And as you are sitting here, breathing slowly, you notice that this kingdom in the sky is pouring down towards us in rushing rivers of color and light. Thy kingdom come. On earth, in this dealership, as it is in heaven. And as these rivers fall, they break into 1,000 different streams. And you're drawn to one particular stream. It's glowing brighter than the rest. And that stream falls down, 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 down from the heavens and pours right into you. It's warm, it's intense, but deeply calming. Your mind, body, and spirit all aligned to the truest design, soaking into every cell of your body. Go ahead and open your eyes. So this incredible kingdom, it's where we're all headed, and also it's here and now. That's the beautiful paradox that we get to deal with. And in this paradox, you might point out that our world doesn't really look like that. Sunshine and rainbows, as some people maybe summarize it as. You know why? Because this beautiful image that we saw above us is missing pieces down here. It's an incomplete puzzle, and all of you are the missing pieces. Have you ever been working on a puzzle? I don't know if people do puzzles anymore. I think I'm getting to the age where I might start doing puzzles again. You get to the end of it, and there's still a single space open. You're like, don't worry, it's probably in the box. And you look in the box, and you lift it up, and there's no pieces left. That's the worst. Well, that's because there's a unique hole in that board that can only be filled by one individual piece. And that's you in this world. No one can fill your spot. You are irreplaceable, indispensable. So let's figure out exactly who you are and what you're meant to do so we can make the world look more like that kingdom. And by the way, this is all part of the plan, even though it may not seem like it, because even before God knit you together in your mother's womb, he had a plan for your life, a vision, a purpose, a specific calling, and a mission, an identity. So you've heard some of those words tonight. So you're paying attention, so you're perking up your ears. Okay. All of this occurred in very specific places in your life at very specific times. And This isn't just this identity of, oh, you're a child of God, or I'm a son of God, and I know that I am pure and innocent and abundant soul. Like, that's amazing. That's true. That's not what I'm talking about. There is an identity that is special and unique to you. Just for you. And it's the greatest gift that you will ever receive in your entire life. So this is how God's works. This is the pattern, this is the design. And when you start to go to study this, you see this in the Bible. There's literally so many examples of God placing people in specific environments and specific scenarios on purpose to fulfill a greater vision and purpose for their life. Now, what you'll also notice is they usually don't know what the heck's going on in the middle of it. Me and some of my friends like to say that, we're really like the disciples, because when you go and you look at the disciples, those guys had no idea what was going on. Any time. They were just confused the entire time. Jesus is like, hey guys, like in a couple days I'm going to be like crucified and die. Like, what's going to happen? So, a couple examples for you here, just to really cement this in. We have Simon coming from the world as a fisherman, and he's fishing his whole life, and he's like, well, you got to eat, you got to make a living. And then Jesus comes and he says, this exact profession is perfectly created to go and help spread the word and cast the net out, cast the word out, and find more people. He also has this unique personality that's kind of brash or unpredictable, and Jesus uses that perfectly to teach the other disciples. David, he faced lions and bears as a shepherd boy, which seems like very unlucky as a shepherd, and yet it prepared him to fight Goliath and massive armies and to shepherd an entire nation. Esther was placed in the palace long before she would become a queen, and Joseph had to find himself in the jails of Egypt in order to earn the trust of the Pharaoh so that he could become the second most powerful man in that entire nation. So every single person, the woman who bled for 12 years straight, the thieves and robbers on the cross beside Jesus, every single person, there's not a single name, a single character that isn't there on purpose. And I know there's at least one person in here that's saying, yeah, that's great, but not me. I'm a B player in the whole thing. I'm a background actor. Nope. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but you are the main character in a story that God has just for you. So let's get a little tactical. I want you to pay attention because I'm going to use myself as an example, and then I'm going to get you to do what I'm going to do. So I'm going to look at the past first, because who's heard this phrase, success leaves clues? You heard that? Success leaves clues. You should study successful people and you can see what they do. Well, your purpose acts in the exact same way. It leaves clues in your life. And if you look at your life through the eyes of God and through the ears of God, you will find a trail of clues that lead you toward the answers that you're looking for. So this detective work is kind of one of two ways that I'll help you uncover your purpose. So let me show you what that looks like. And when I'm doing this, and I'll get you to do this later, but I'll say a little prayer. Right? It sounds something like this. Hey, God, please help me to see my life as you see it. Please bring forward the memories that are important for what you're trying to convey to me. God, let your wisdom come through as I understand even deeper why you made me and what my role here is on earth. Right? So let's start with the fun stuff. Let me erase this here. So again, I'm going to get you to do this exact same thing. But I'm going to give you just a little kind of breakdown. We got May 20th, 1990. I'm born. It's my birthday. Then, what's my first memory? I remember taking a picture in the garden. I remember my dad taking me fishing. I remember loved fiction books. I remember being selected as the captain of my sports team. I remember winning the public speaking competition. I remember getting accepted to business school. I remember starting my first business. I remember meeting my wife. Now, when you sit and do this, and I'm going to invite you to do this at a deeper level later, you will begin to see a pattern unfolding, and some things are surprising and some things aren't. So the public speaking, that's like unsurprising in this very moment because God's asking me to speak publicly more and more. The fishing is really interesting because God really wants me to take people out fishing and talk about their life and their business. So that's kind of interesting that that's coming up. Meeting my wife is, a massive component of everything that's happening in my world and what God's doing with me. God's asking me to write more. So I actually, won some writing awards in here. And when you do this for yourself, and you probably haven't done it in a while, and you ask God to show you specific memories that are related to why you're here, there's a story that begins to emerge. And my story it has got leadership in there, it has writing, it has speaking, it has lots to do with my wife and the work that we're going to do together. And it starts to give me a little bit of an understanding. Now, here's some of the less fun stuff. This is the second thing that I'm going to get you to do with your past. Right? And you've probably heard someone say that everything happens for a reason. Can be an annoying and also even maybe a traumatic sentence to hear when there's been very difficult things have happened in our life. Now, we don't have to get too philosophical here, but I believe that some difficult things happen in our life for a reason, and some are maybe the result of the freedom and the free will that we have, and yet God will use everything for our benefit, even when it wasn't in his original plan. Right, so here's the less fun stuff, is that, when I was born, my left hip was dislocated. And then I got bit in the face by a dog. And then my parents got divorced. And then my mom had debilitating migraines, so I had to watch my 4-year-old sister. And then my mother passed away. And then I kind of went through a depression and stopped playing sports. Then I was red-green, color deficient in my vision, so I couldn't become a police officer or a firefighter like I wanted to. Longest relationship ends, lots of painful things that happened there. And so again, God is showing me here kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I start to maybe get an understanding of why some of these things occurred. For example, losing my mother. When I talk to someone about losing a parent or death in particular, seems to be some thing that I can connect to, that I have an understanding of grief and death and loss. And so that's become an incredible tool, an asset that God has used to help people healing. Right? So that's the first thing I'm going to get you to do, is I'm going to find a pattern of your past. And again, I'm not going to get you to overanalyze this too much, but we're going to find a pattern of your past. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look in the present moment. Right? And the present moment is often where we start to see purpose emerging in our past, and the present moment is where identity is coming through. So who you're meant to identify as here and now. And how this occurs is through an active dialogue with God and with Spirit, right? And again, this could be a whole other talk on, hey, what does that look like? How does that do that? What I want to start with and on this topic is to say that when you have a spirit that's in a heart that's in true desire of connecting with God, you really can't do it wrong, and he's going to meet you in whatever way that looks like. But this piece of scripture is helpful for me, John 10:3. That the gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep recognize his voice and come to him. He calls his own sheep by their name, and he leads them out. And this piece that I want you to pay attention to is that he calls his own sheep by their name. That means that God has a name for each and every one of you that you recognize and you are led by, and you're led out of something. God is always leading us out of something or delivering out of something. So fun thing is that I had this conversation this evening. But I'll tell you, all of you, is when I turned 30 years old, I felt such a strong conviction to go by the name Alexander. And historically, I was called Alex. I don't know why, but super interesting when we dive into the name is that Alexander means defender of humankind or protector of men. Pretty cool name. But Alexander has two roots in the word. So the first is Alexien, which means to defend or protect. And then ener, which is the ender part, means men or all humans. So if I go by Alex just by itself, first of all, it's a unisex name, so it's not inherently, strictly masculine. But it just means defending or protecting. So that was what, when people said, hey, Alex, underneath that, they're saying, hey, you defend, you protect. Defend and protect what? I spent a lot of time defending and protecting myself and my ego. So then I started going by Alexander, which means I'm going to defend and protect other people. And surprise, surprise, around this time, I start to get into men's work. I start to focus a little bit more on the masculine side of me, and I start to think about, hey, what are the impact projects that I want to do? So again, this is a pattern that God does all the time. So we know that Abraham started as Abram, right? Abram on its own means father. Abraham means father of many nations, right? And so when God shifts Abram's name, it's because something is shifting in his life, right? So in this present moment, I suspect that a large majority of you, something is shifting in your life. God is calling you into a different chapter. The same thing happens with his wife. Sarai becomes Sarah. Simon becomes Peter. Jacob becomes Israel. These are all moments where God says, hey, I have a different name for you because I have a different identity for you because there's something different you are now called to in this moment, right? And so this isn't always like an actual name. Like we have someone here, which is really fun, that his name is actually Alexander, and he did go by Alex. So that's an awesome that I got to have that conversation. But sometimes it's more of a name that is just yours, that is maybe used a little bit behind the scenes. So, for example, in my life, in my dialogues with God, and also what other people have reflected back to me, one of the names or the identities that God has given me is connector. So he wants me to be a connector in the kingdom, right? And this is important because identity cannot be created. You can't create your identity. It needs to be given to you. And as entrepreneurs, we're trying to create everything. We're builders, we're creators, but you cannot create this. It has to be given to you by God. And oftentimes God will use other people to do this as well. We see this with Samuel invites David into the identity of king. Moses passes on the title of leader to Joshua, and Elizabeth declared that Mary was the mother of the Lord, right? So we're all parts of one body. So you can't do it alone. You can't create the plan for your life alone. You can't create your identity alone. It needs to be gifted and given to you. And so finally, we have the future element, which is the vision that God has for our lives. And again, this is kind of in the dialogue of God. And by the way, a lot of you like to maybe use the term visionary in your LinkedIn profile, but this is actually being a visionary. This is asking God, hey, please show me a glimpse into your future reality that you have for me. And again, as we've heard from the other speakers, without a vision, you are going to be directionless. You're going to be spinning your wheels. This is one of the most important things. But most people, they make up their vision, or they pick a vision that someone else has picked it, instead of asking God, show me where you want me to go. What do you have for me? Right? And God very rarely reveals everything at once, but he will reveal something. He will show you something. So I'm going to kind of outline this here for you. This formula, and I'm going to get you to do that right now. You can use the back of one of your papers, or you can use your cell phone if you'd like. Okay. So this is going to be a series of, and again, this is going to be the quick version of this. Actually, before I do this, I need you all to promise me something. Promise me, make an agreement with me that you will spend more time on this at home with God. Can everyone agree to that? If you didn't put your hand up, you can't do the exercise. I'm sorry. So just you can leave, right? So what we're going to do, and I'm going to get you to write some things down, or you can do it on your phone, and then we're going to pray, right? And then we're going to bring it to life. So first thing, hey God, the past. Right? The past is going to reveal the purpose, the story of the purpose. Hey, God, what are the memories or the instances of my past that are important to who I am today and what you want me to do? Right? And we're going to group this in. You can do it on your own, where it's kind of like the good and the bad, but we're going to do it all together. Right? So let's take a moment here. If you got it written down, you can close your eyes for a second. God, would you please use our imaginations, and would you please bring forward into my awareness 2 or 3 memories or experiences from my past that maybe I haven't thought about in a long time. They're important for what you have for me here today, here and now. God, would you show that to me? Would you whisper that to me? Could I hear it? Could I sense it? Could I feel it? So you can go ahead and open your eyes. You can't do it wrong. Anything that pops into your mind, just write it down. 2 or 3 core memories from the past. So the past is going to give us an idea of the story of our purpose, and the present is going to invite us into identity. So again, another quick exercise, and again, we're going to follow Jeremy's lead here, and I'm really grateful he shared that story first. You can go ahead, close your eyes. Don't worry, you already promised to work on that more later. Close your eyes, and we're going to bring in Jesus for the present moment. So close your eyes, relax your body. Jesus, would you just step into the room? Would you just come forward for all these beautiful people, for your brothers and for your sisters? Would you just step in, and would you extend your hands out forward, and would you take from them anything that they've been identifying with that isn't true? Take from them the false identities that they've been carrying around, that they've been given to by their parents or by their teachers or by maybe some of their friends. Would you take it from them right now? And I want you just in your imagination, again, you can't do this wrong. I just want you to note what Jesus does with it. Is you're handing him a series of papers or scrolls, if you can imagine that. It's got some words, it's got some identities and titles on there. Imagine what he does with that. And in this space of imagination and contemplation, Jesus, would you tell these people, each individually, what is the name that you have for them in this season? What do you call them? What is the name that when it is called, they will know it is you? And again, you can't do this wrong. Just allow it to come through. You can open your eyes when you're ready and jot that down. Jot down anything that comes through. Again, these are seeds. You're going to work on this later. You already promised that. Don't judge it. Just anything that's come through, write it on the paper there. Okay, perfect. Again, we're going to close our eyes. You can see this praying thing. It doesn't have to be so formal. We're flowing in and out of it. We're closing our eyes again. God, you are the past, present, and the future. You have an amazing future for us. God, would you show us the vision that you have for me in my life, personally, individually, the next 5, 10, 15 years? Where am I going? What do you have for me? What's in store? Would you show me? Give me a glimpse, a little glimpse, a glimmer. Show me. Point my compass. Show me. Imagine it. Don't overthink it. Again, you can open your eyes and you can jot something down. That future vision. Right? And one last piece of this. So your past has been revealing this purpose of who you're becoming in this present moment here. And this is your true identity that God has for you right now. And then he's shown you a glimpse into the future, this vision. This is where I see you going. One last question, especially for entrepreneurs or smart business leaders. How the heck do I get from here to there? Amazing vision that I can see. Maybe I see my future partner. Maybe I see my children. Maybe I see a business I'm going to build. Maybe this movement I'm going to start. How the heck do I go from here? This moment at a Mercedes-Benz dealership on a Friday evening in Kelowna. How do I get there? right? And this is the mission. This is the marching orders. Again, we've used those words a little bit before this part. Again, shut your eyes here. Let's say a little prayer. God, you know my vocation. You know my skills. You know where I've been. You know how I've trained. You know who I'm connected to. You know everything about me. God, how do you want me to get there? How do you want me to walk? Should I be like Jeremy? Should I break it all down and start something new? If I've been doing it by myself, should I partner with someone? Am I even meant to be here in this industry, or am I meant to go and do a new industry? Or maybe I'm meant to move geographically. I'm meant to go to a different country. I don't know. But ask God, imagine, and allow these thoughts to come through, and don't judge them. Right? And so this map here, once you get clear on all these pieces, you're like, this is why I'm here. This is the story that I've been living in. This is what it's been leading up to. And this is why I'm here right now. This is who I am. This is who God says I am. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And this is where I'm going. I see it on the horizon. I'm going there. I'm bringing people with me. Do you want to come with me? Because this is how I'm going to get there. I'm building this community that's amazing. I'm building this app. Right? I'm inventing this new way to solve this problem. I'm bringing back the wisdom and the knowledge of how to birth naturally. Whatever it is, you get clear on this, and wherever you go, people will be magnetized to you because you have clarity on who you are, on why God made you, where he's sending you, and what he calls you. And these people, just like you saw with Lucas's energy, they are magnetic. And they are leaders. And so if you want to be a leader, you need to be clear on this. And luckily, you are connected to the most wise person that ever has existed. Every single day, Jesus, Holy Spirit, God, Father, Mother, show me. What do I need to know? What do I need to do next? You do this every single day, you can experience that feeling that you've been looking for your whole life, that missing piece. That's all I have for you this evening. Thank you so much.